So, welcome everyone to a workshop called Responsibility for Sight. And today we have 11 people here at my home and 2 people on the Zoom recording. So 14 people altogether. So I'm just going to start the workshop off by just saying a prayer.
There's one short. Sorry. Yes.
So Holy Spirit, guide me in what to say, when to be quiet, when to take extra time, and I'll just allow you to be in charge of this workshop today. I step back and be empty of everything I think I know, even about how a workshop is meant to go. Just allow everything today to happen as it's meant to happen. I'm not going to judge anything. Well, for me, there doesn't seem to be any judgment anymore. So my prayer is to just come through me, use this body and this word, these words for your holy purposes and how you want to communicate. So I've just empty myself out of having any idea about anything, just become completely free and just allow whatever to be said. So in that sense, the prayer to the Holy Spirit is just a surrender, always a surrendering, your will, not mine. And so we will start. Now, before we're going to start the workshop, we have to do something before we start. We just have to become a little willing. So if we have a look at, there are some questions on this worksheet and I will be reading from this. So to start with, I've just got some Course in Miracles reminders. They're just the way I teach or share, some pointers. Always, they're good reminders that the goal or the reason that we study the course is to have peace, because this is a course that has peace as its goal, a peace that cannot be disturbed. So that's why we do this work. We are already mind trained to automatically think and believe with the ego. So we all have the ego here. Everyone, unless they're awakened, they're thinking with the ego to different extents, but it's the same ego. So if you think you've got a worse depression or worse anxiety or anything worse than anyone else, it's sometimes comforting to know that everyone has the same ego thought system. You don't have your own private ego that's worse. The ego is a false thought system that we think we can believe all day, every day. So it's interesting to think that every thought that we think, when we think with fear, guilt, blame, unworthiness, we're actually thinking using a false thought system. And every thought is false. In other words, it's a lie. We're just basically listening to lies about ourselves and others in the world all day long. Every ego thought always includes the idea that there is a separate self as a body, which is being attacked, being guilty, being unworthy, being unsafe, and being separate from God. This separate self is maintained as true and real by our choice in believing the ego. So there's actually no separate self. It's actually, the separate self is maintained. It's an illusory thing, but it seems real because all our thoughts say that there is a me here. And the reason why we think there is a me here, because we believe that there is this thing here that can be attacked. And so as we go deeper and deeper and become free of our beliefs and our fears, we start to actually come across an area where we just see that the separate self that we think we are is actually completely made up by the thoughts that think it into reality. So we're being thought into a reality. So the blocks to the peace that patheth understanding. So our natural state of mind is completely peaceful. And we have these blocks. And so the blocks are the ego thoughts that tell us we are attacked, guilty and unworthy. So these are the egoic thoughts. So we need to really fully understand what the ego is, because you can't notice it and become aware of it unless you know what it is. And in the Course, Jesus talks a lot about what the ego is. So it's very important for us to understand. First, we must desire peace above all else. This puts us in a state of readiness. So this is really key. We have to desire peace. We are willing and ready then to allow the ego thoughts to be undone. And this is done by asking the Holy Spirit or Jesus to show us that they are false. So Jesus says he will not come into our mind and correct our fear. We have to ask him, and he's available to us when we ask. We don't have to know how it's going to be corrected. We don't have to make ourselves ready. We don't have to do all these different things to be ready. We can do it right now. We can have our thoughts shifted right now from fear to love. No thought can be undone unless we desire it to be undone. That's it. If you want to hang on to a grievance or a fear and you say, I want this undone, it's terrible, but you don't want to ask for help, it won't be undone. It's as simple as that. No thought can be undone unless we desire it to be undone by asking for another perception. So the miracle is when the false belief is undone by the Holy Spirit or Jesus. So we have something that changes it. And so we become free of that fear of the belief. Through that process, we become free of the fear to love. So when we think with the ego is fear to love. It has a lot of contracts. You do this and then I'll love you and I'm not going to do that. You know, there's a lot of contracts in with the ego. So obviously God's love has no contracts. God's love just loves. That's all it does, is love. It doesn't do anything else. So through that process, we become free of the fear to love. Thus, we naturally become more loving and thus extend the miracle of unconditional love to others. And that is very healing. If you have ever had anyone completely love you unconditionally on an ongoing basis, it is very beautiful and healing, because the ego demands that you change for it to be loved. And anyone that is in where the miracle workers who are going to be moving into a mind that doesn't demand anyone change any bit, and we're just going to love everyone no matter how they look and what they do. And if we're not going to demand that they change. We're just going to love them. And that's when you've removed the blocks, or starting to remove the blocks. When all the beliefs are finally undone, our mind is free and naturally happy. There is no sacrifice in having our fear-based thought system undone. In fact, the result is happiness. Enlightenment is only a recognition. Our mind recognises its oneness with its creator, and that our creator is just an eternal, infinite love, and that it is one with all creation. From that perception, it sees everything as love. It is a state where it sits quietly in, it merely is. So that statement, it merely is at the front of the FIP version, and that actually is the awakened state. And those three words for me represent just the mind that is clear. So if you've got any questions about anything, then you leave it until I just get to a stage where I'm just going to say, okay, open for questions. So let's start now to, we'll just do a silent 10-minute meditation, just to let all the thoughts, if you can, just to drop into just the quietness. Okay, so just what I'd also like everyone to do is just to commit to a quietness for the rest of the day, even during a lunchtime period, because I think it's going to help. It's very easy to get distracted by meeting up with people that you know and wanting to get to know each other. So once the workshop is done, just there'll be time for people to chat and talk. But I'd just like, even while we're having lunch today, to just stay in this quietness, because what we're doing this morning is going to be moving into the afternoon session. So we don't want to sort of get out of that. We want to maintain that quiet mind. So to start with, we're just going to listen to the start of the responsibility for sight. So I've got it queued up on YouTube. I did have. Okay. So I'm only going to listen to 1 minute of this, and it's just the first part. So if you want to follow, actually I haven't got it typed out here, I don't think, but let's just listen to the first minute.
The responsibility for sight. We have repeated how little is asked of you to learn this course. It is the same small willingness you need to have your whole relationship transformed to joy. The little gift you offer to the Holy Spirit, for which He gives you everything. The very little on which salvation rests. The tiny change of mind by which the crucifixion is changed to resurrection. And being true, it is so simple that it cannot fail to be completely understood. Rejected, yes, but not ambiguous. And if you choose against it now, it will not be because it is obscure, but rather that this little cost seemed, in your judgment, to be too much to pay for peace.
Okay. So the first part of this is just understanding how little our part is. So I'm just going to read this section out. He says, we have repeated how little is asked of you to learn this course. Jesus says that He is asking such a small amount from us to learn this course. Do I think He is asking a lot of me to learn this course? So, can you turn the mic up? Can you hear me? Right, okay, I'll put the mic there then. So, has everyone off? Have you got a pen and paper? There's some over on the over there. So I'd like you just to start off. But first of all, before we start off answering this question, I'd like you to, first of all, write out some sort of just a short commitment to yourself for today. Just say, look, I'm here and I'm just willing to open my mind to some new way of understanding. I'm just here and willing. So just your own, from your heart. You like to say tonight, Holy Spirit, you be in charge or something. So, because we cannot use an ego thought system to awaken. So we have to invite. We have to just be ready and willing to invite that truth to come in and know that there's no sacrifice in having another way of perceiving. So just sets you up for that willingness. Okay. So if Jesus is saying we just need a little willingness, and if there's another voice that says this is really hard, it's going to take a lot of time, it's too complicated, this, that, but that can't be the voice of the Holy Spirit. So we know that that's the egoic voice that says it's hard, it's complicated, you're not smart enough, you're not spiritual enough, you don't look the right way to have peace, you know. It'll come up with lots of, yes, conversations. So one thing that is really good to just, as a little commitment to say to yourself, is just say, whatever Jesus says in the Course is true. And whatever I think that seems to oppose that is untrue. So it really helps you to see how the ego will doubt anything that what Jesus says in the Course. So just know that whenever you're thinking, when he says it just takes a little willingness, and you think, oh, this is just too much for me, I'm busy at work and I've got family, and, you know, just know that that voice is the liar. It's not true. So this little area is just to become aware of what he is asking us. He's just saying we just need a little willingness and a little readiness. And just become aware of the thoughts in your mind that tell you know what it entails. Contemplate what I think I need to do and what Jesus says he's asking of me. Maybe I am wrong about what I think I need to do. Would I just give some small willingness and just leave it at that? Just say, well, here I am today, I'm just willing. I'm just willing to have this teaching appear to me and have the Holy Spirit illuminate this teaching into my mind. If I think I need to make a super amazing effort and spend lots of time on this, I won't do it. I'll think it's too hard. If I think I need to just have a small willingness, then it seems like something I can do. He says that we think the little willingness he asks of us is too much to pay for peace. It sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? Because we want peace, but this is the little willingness. So you write your commitment out to yourself. You will give the Holy Spirit the little willingness. And that's all. So now we're getting into the actual teaching on page 2. I'm going to play the rest of that I'll just feel into when to stop that. I'll just let it play for a little while.
This is the only thing that you need do for vision, happiness, release from pain, and the complete escape from sin, all to be given you. Say only this, but mean it with no reservations, for here the power of salvation lies. I am responsible for what I see. I choose the feelings I experience, and I decide upon the goal I would achieve. And everything that seems to happen to me, I ask for and receive as I have asked. Deceive yourself no longer that you are helpless in the face of what is done to you.
Okay. So we're going to spend the whole day on just these sentences, because he prefaces that if we can actually understand this, we will have vision, happiness, we're released from pain, and the complete escape from sin or suffering or whatever you want to call it. So this preface is, if when we understand this, and practice it and mean it, we will be released from it. So
Right, can I just ask the little willingness,
yeah,
right, that it says? So my first thought was, of course, yes, I believe I'm being asked a lot, not a little bit, right? And I know that that's the ego, right?
yes,
So as I was just contemplating it then, like little willingness, so would it more mean like I do this practice as much as I can all day, and even if I'm, you know, like say a grievance comes up and I have that a little willingness, I might not completely be giving myself over. Is that what it's meaning? Just even if it's that, like some days I'll do better than others, I might have a lot of willingness one day, I might not another, but just having that willingness to keep trying,
yes,
keep
that's
coming
it.
back to it. Is that what it really
Yeah, so
means?
just in every moment, like right now,
Yeah,
just have a little willingness to look at this.
yeah.
And then in 5 minutes time, just say I have the willingness to look at this. So just
okay.
in the moment,
Yep.
just
That
say
makes sense.
if you have an egoic thought that says this workshop will be too hard, I haven't read the course as much as everyone else, just watch the thoughts telling you you're not going to be able to do this, you're not going to get it, you're not going to get illuminated at the end of the day. Everyone's going to say, hey, I got something, and I won't, because that's what the ego will be saying right now. And guess what? It'll probably be saying that to everyone, right? Because it wants to compare. It wants to compare. Well, you're awake, more awake than me. You've got something more than me. So it's just interesting that, that's the story that'll be coming up. It's constantly comparing us and judging us and judging others. So, and that's what it does. It does it all day long, every day, all your whole life here. That's how it works, right?
Yeah.
It's a judging thought system. So everyone's got that in some way or another. So there's no testing. There's no outcome here. I'm not attached to an outcome. So be free of an outcome, because actually what generally happens in these workshops is it gets activated over the next few weeks after you leave the workshop, that it really comes in. So you probably get something in 2 weeks' time out of this workshop. So if you don't get anything out of today, don't worry about it. You just have to have the little willingness now. So if you turn around at the end of the day and I said, I've got nothing was illuminated, don't worry about it. Just need to have the willingness, it'll drop in. So that's what I found a lot of the time for me too. So we only have to have the little willingness now to just open ourselves up to this teaching. And let's not judge anyone or ourselves for anything, because we do not know how anything's going to get illuminated to us. We just don't know. And that's the best place to be. Is I got no idea how this workshop's going to help me, but I'm willing. I'm willing to just open up. And the ego always wants to know things. It wants to get it. It wants to have everything sorted. But, you have to come to these workshops and say, I don't have a freaking clue, And then you're in the right state of mind. Great. Let's just all just say we don't have a clue how this teaching's going to come in.
I know nothing.
I like that. I want to be, if you want to be right or happy.
Yeah.
I want to be happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just know that anybody that has got anything to say in this workshop, it's helpful. It's just helpful. It doesn't matter what you say or how you say it, it's going to be helpful. Everything is helpful. You can't be anywhere except at the right place at the right time, and you've always got your spiritual teaching, because everybody is your teacher, every situation, everything. And we'll work out why that is, because today is going to show us why that is. So we're going to this is an important question and answer, and it's not a test, it's just a way for deeper understanding. Okay, so it's not a right or wrong, because we're already whole and complete and perfect in God. So, you know, anything we do, it's like we're just becoming aware of that. So let's focus on that first statement. I am responsible for what I see, or the section is called responsibility for sight. I want you to write down if being free means I need to become responsible for sight or what I see. I need to define what I think sight is or what I see. So please, what is sight? When he says I'm responsible for what I see, what is he referring to?
Am I on the wrong page?
Second page?
No. Sorry, will you repeat that?
Oh, it's written here,
Yeah.
just about a third or
So
halfway
what do you want me
down.
to do?
Please write down what you believe the word sight
Okay.
means, or the process of what I see. So if I am responsible for what I see, what is this what I see? Let's just focus on that term. What do you think that is? Okay, so I'll just wait for everyone to finish writing. And let's see if we can.
Would you like this?
Sorry,
We'll do time.
I thought maybe if you can just hold it out, and you don't have to hold it right in front of you, but just so that the other people can hear. So if you just want to hold it and just read out what you've written there.
Sight to me means perception, how I see the world can be affected by my past judgments and from the ego, but I can choose to see the world through fear or through love, through illusion or through truth.
Okay, try to just pass it on.
I wrote, sight is what I see with my body's eyes, but also what I see in my mind. It is what I have been conditioned to see and what I expect to see, what I already know, and what I imagine in my mind can interfere with what I see out there.
What sight means to me, everything I can see, hear, smell, touch, taste, dream, think, and then once that all comes in, then it depends on how I respond to that choice.
Sight is what I choose as my perception. Sight is perception, and it's how I see the world, how I see others. And yeah, I can choose to see it with my incorrect mind, or I can choose to see it with my right mind.
Okay.
Sight is how the world appears to me, and this includes everything that I see, whether someone is or something is sinful in error or wrong, or whether it is sinless and free from defects.
I see things according to the beliefs and expectations I have about the world. This view can change as easily as my mood, and does so.
What I see depends on the way I look at things, my previous judgments about others and the world. I see through the particular glasses of previous judgments from my experience in life, good and bad, especially hurts I have experienced and negative experiences.
Sight for me is just either seeing with God or seeing with the ego, seeing with peace or with attack, or fear or joy. But that's the truth. It's either with God or the ego.
Sight, to me, being responsibility for sight means what I see with my body's eyes, I'm responsible for because it comes from my thoughts. Also, what I see with Christ's vision, I'm responsible for also because if I'm in the Holy Spirit thought system, then that is what I see, only love, peace, happiness, contentment.
Sight, what I see. I am responsible for my mind. My mind is a projector of my experiences here. I have a choice of right mind or wrong mind. I can choose by asking for Jesus to help and guidance to see the truth.
Okay. Well, thanks everyone. Oh, Annie and Yetta. What?
Nikki, did you want to?
Oh, Nikki.
Oh, I don't care. Either way.
I think it's important just because it could be helpful.
Oh.
Where do I
You
stand?
can just stand there and it should be all right.
Sight is projection of what is in my mind, condition of my mind, my beliefs, interpretations, grievances, judgments, guilt, fear, all formed in the past. I see everything through the lens of my past learning, else I could not know what anything was.
And Annie, would you like to share your?
Sight is related to vision or perception, and perception is related to thinking. My responsibility lies in what thoughts I am allowing to guide my thinking and the thoughts I am believing, either coming from love or fear. The process of seeing what I see is either a reflection of a loving thought system, which shows me there is nothing to defend or attack, that I am safe, that there is only love, or I see through a thought system of judgment, which is reflected in what I perceive and gives rise to a world that reflects differences, conflict, lack, scarcity, a lack of love and separation.
And Yetta, would you like to share what you wrote, what you think sight means?
Yes.
Can you speak up as well, please?
Yes. I am responsible for my thoughts because or I'm responsible for what thoughts I believe, and because my thoughts give my perception. Yeah, that's what I wrote.
Yeah. Okay, so everyone, you know, you nailed it in that we come to see that. So sight, when Jesus talks about we're responsible for sight or what we see, he's not talking about eyes. So if we think about our eyes, they look at stuff. You look at images. You'll see images of bodies, chairs, the room, the sky, the trees. The eyes look. That's all they do is see. So the eyes are seeing. That's it. Nothing we see means anything. So when he says I'm responsible for sight, he means perception. He's not talking about the eyes looking at things. So this is just, let's really get clear here on what sight is, because this is how we can really come to know this teaching. What is sight? It is my perception. It is every single meaning I have put on everything. That is my sight or perception. Now I'm going to start using the word perception more. So we could say, I am responsible for perception. Now, the course's teaching is that we projected the world of separation. We projected the things that we see with the eyes, the bodies and the buildings and the trees. But just for a moment, for this teaching here today, we're going to work on perception. So I want you to see the difference, or get a bit of an illumination in your mind that you're looking, your eyes are seeing. They're literally just seeing something, seeing a hand. That hand means nothing. it has no meaning. But, you know, I can give it any meaning. I could say it's a nice hand, it's a terrible hand, it's a bad hand, it's a sinful hand, you know. I could say anything about it. And in fact, it's neutral. It has no particular meaning. So my eyes will see something. Anything that any meaning, I give it, even the most subtlest of meanings, is perception. So sight is your perception, and perception is interpretation. You can talk about interpretation or meaning. So however you want, whatever helps you understand this. So
really, our eyes aren't seeing anything.
they say stuff, but
Yeah,
it doesn't mean
not,
anything.
Yeah, but not really. It's more, because of our thoughts.
Yes.
Then we give our sight the meaning that it
Yes.
has.
Yeah.
Whereas,
So it does mean something, but
it doesn't mean
it's only
anything.
we've created the meaning.
Yeah. So
Made a meaning.
So if I am looking at my hand and I say, this is a good hand, what is saying this is a good hand?
It's your perception.
Is it a thought?
It's a thought, and it's your perception of seeing good. You attribute a quality to it, which is your own thought.
So the thought gives it a meaning.
That's right.
So the thought that gives it a meaning is called perception. So a thought in my mind that gives something a meaning is called perception. So I am responsible for the thoughts that give it a meaning. So we're going to just trace this back, right? So perception are the thoughts in my mind that give something that my eyes see. Doesn't have any meaning. So the thought gives a meaning to it.
Trying to think, like, if I think about God, so if I look up into the sky, like the blue sky and the white clouds, and I think that's lovely, and that's my interpretation of my perception.
Can we just hold that, because we will get to that stuff. So I want to just go. I want to sort of just hold you in. Just hold your mind. Say, just keep going over this. So I see, but it's perception that gives a meaning. And what is perception? It's my thoughts. My thoughts give it a meaning. So perception comes from my thoughts. Now, I know everyone knows this, but I want to show you, sort of lead you into a full sort of like a little bit of a deeper understanding, okay?
Kate, can I just say, like, even going into hand, I mean, like, we're really, if you kind of look in a certain way, we're really just seeing shapes and colour.
That's it.
Even that is a concept too. Shape and colour is even a false concept. But even to bring it back from hand, computer and everything, it's really, we're just looking at shape and colour.
That's right. That's exactly it. So I wouldn't know that word hand unless I'd been told it. It has no, it's just a sound that I do, hurt, at, and do. And it means something. It tells us about it.
So we can't have neutral thought, as this lady just mentioned. You look at the hand, then you see the shape, the color, or whatever it is.
Yes. Now, so perception is the thought, right? So just stay with us here and we'll have a discussion later about this. But just for a moment, let's just focus on this, because I know it's hard if you're struggling, just because it's the ego doesn't want you to get this. So just try to hang in there. Okay. So I want you to get an understanding that that your eyes are seeing and that nothing means anything. I want you to look around the room and just look at the bodies and the carpet and the tables. I want you to look without perceiving. See if you can look without perceiving. Which means to have no thought.
No.
Has anyone been able to look at this room and the bodies here without a thought?
I'm trying
about
to,
them?
but I can't.
Okay.
Kate, but even if I don't have a thought about, I'm still perceiving, because there's a projection of whatever the kind shape.
Yeah, just hang in there, Annie. Hang in there, all right? All right. So it seems like when I look with my eyes that something is automatically happening, that I can't help but perceive. I can't help but have thoughts about what my eyes look at. So I simply look, but everything else, every single thing, how you perceive what you look at is your thoughts about it. So so that's the first sort of step in saying that nothing in this room means anything. I have given everything the meaning it has by my thoughts. So my thoughts are saying, you know, the room's too hot, the room's too cold, it's too light, it's too dark, that person speaks too much, this person doesn't speak enough, you know, whatever. So the thoughts that are going on while you're even sitting in this room, just looking, that is your perception. So your perception are your thoughts about what's going on. So all your thoughts, you know, hundreds and hundreds of thoughts that are going through your mind is your perception.
So would it be right then saying our thoughts use our eyes?
No, they've got nothing to do with eyes, right?
So if we had no eyes,
yeah.
so
Can you just be free of comments and questions just for now? Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll move into a discussion about this later. So if I see that the eyes are just looking at stuff, so look around and just notice shapes and colours and whatever. But any time there's a meaning on anything in this room, it's a thought. So you are responsible for those thoughts about it. So you're responsible for your perception. The reason why you're responsible and why this teaching is that I am responsible for it is because if you can say that I am responsible for it, it can be changed. Okay? If you say that my perception is just as it is, this is how I'm perceiving everything, you are not going to feel that you can change it.
Can you say that last sentence again?
If you think that perception is just happening to you, that you think this is the way the world is, like someone mentioned today, the world's terrible at the moment, you are giving up your responsibility for your perception of it, right? If you say the world is that way, you're taking no responsibility for your perception, because everything is neutral in this world. Nothing means anything. This is what this teaching is about, that you are responsible for every single meaning, every thought, everything that you perceive here. You are responsible for it. And if you can take responsibility for it, it can be changed. If you think this world is shit and that it's happening and it's terrible and blah, 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 you will not take any responsibility for your perception of it, because it's not anything. It's neutral. Everything is neutral. Nothing I see means anything. This world, bodies, whatever anyone's doing means nothing. I have given everything all the meaning it has. So if I have given it, what is the I that's given it? It's my thoughts. My thoughts are giving it a meaning. So my thought comes in and gives something a meaning, and I have the decision to join it or not. It's the only decision I can make, is to join that meaning. So if I decide that any time I am upset, I am responsible for being upset. I'm responsible for that. It's not
Choosing it.
I'm choosing it. So it actually meant to empower you to say. So the thing is, if you ever catch yourself saying that person is mean and nasty and shouldn't be doing that, you can activate this straight away and say, actually, I am responsible for my perception about it. What thoughts do I have about that person or that situation or something in the world? So this is the reason why he's saying, if we can understand this, we can get to freedom, because you're not going to think that you can change it unless you take back and say, actually, I'm responsible for everything I perceive, and my perception and my thoughts and my beliefs. So it activates you to go to the cause of all your upsets, everything. It activates you to go and take responsibility for it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I can see peace instead of this.
Mm.
Should have told myself a lot lately.
Yeah.
So powerful.
Kate, may I ask?
Yes.
Like, wow. Feel like you have the power to have your world how you'd like it to be.
Yeah.
Instead of how everyone else is saying it is.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's great.
It's freeing.
Hey, can I ask a question?
Sorry?
Can I ask a question for a second?
Yes.
I just want to be like really clear about the word responsibility, like, because when, like, I think, you said about like my responsibility, almost as if I join that thought, isn't it? Like, or I believe that thought as if it's true, sort of thing. That's because, it's like, just to get really clear about what the word responsibility means.
Yes, and we need to.
And be really clear about what the responsibility is, as far as my thinking goes, because
I've had a good
um,
length of responsibility,
Yes.
the ability to respond.
Our ability.
okay, that's nice. So it's like, yeah, so I'm responsible. The way I respond to that thought that arises in my mind.
So I would actually not use that ability to respond.
Okay.
I wouldn't, if it makes it helpful to you, but I would say something along those lines would be, for me, would be more helpful. I have the power to either join that thought or not.
Yeah, so for me, that respond to the thought actually works, which is the same as joining. So I have the ability to respond by joining with that thought, or respond by seeing it false.
However it illuminates to you what I said, whatever you get out of that, just whatever, it's for you. So use the words or something that helps you.
What was it that you said?
The ability to respond.
Or the ability to choose.
That's better to me.
Yes.
Because respond, you have to respond in one way or another. It's either the truth or it's not the truth. But respond to in.
So
to me, it lightens the meaning a bit, because when someone makes you responsible, to me that's scary. Like, oh, you know, like a burden. Yeah.
It's funny, isn't it? It's really the opposite.
To choose.
Respond really resonates with me, because I guess in my life I felt I was able to respond differently to what was arising.
Different. That's needed something more on the end of it.
Whereas choose, I feel like I've got. It's like this wrestle thing.
Okay, so the words are going to be used. Feel what works with you. If you feel that the word respond differently, or however it is, it's for you. So that's why these workshops are good, because people are going to be offering different things that will be helpful to you. We're all going to be illuminated. As long as you get something out of it, that's it's not really the words, it's what helps you.
Yeah.
So so the reason why we take responsibility for it, and we have to take 100% responsibility, because we can choose which thought system we're using. So when we're stuck in the ego and we're putting a meaning on something, this teaching is to tell us that anytime I'm upset by anything here, I take responsibility for the meaning I've given it. And it's very easy to say, oh no, not this time. You will want to disregard this teaching many times. But if you can try, even if you do say, no, this is really happening and they're doing that and that's wrong and blah, blah, blah. Even if you ignore it for a day or a week or a month or years, eventually you'll come to, no, I went to that workshop and I am responsible for every interpretation of everything I see, and this is the way to be free.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can I just say that I think the reason why you choosing the words join the thought or not really resonates for me is because it creates space between us and the thought.
Yes.
So that it reminds us that the thought is not part of us.
Yes.
It's just there. Yeah.
Yeah.
We can
It's
attach to it.
It
or
makes
not.
it more neutral. It's like, oh, that's a thought, and I can choose to go there with it or not. Yeah.
Yeah, I just sort of wrote, so I have the ability to respond to that thought, to believe it as if it's true or see its falsity. Now I have a choice to continue to
That's
respond
beautiful.
to that thought without questioning it, or to question it and see that it has no meaning.
So initially, when you're caught up in the ego, thanks Annie for that. That's really good. So when we're caught up in the ego mind, we're caught up in the thoughts, and so the way to be free is to have all those beliefs or perceptions change. So that's the miracle. So when we say we're always perceiving, we're also going to be perceiving from the Holy Spirit. He's going to give us another perception, but that perception is called true perception, and that is what changes our mind. So we're going to start perceiving with the Holy Spirit rather than perceiving with the ego. And they're the miracles, it's the mind training, forgiveness, all those other things. So this is how it's done. So I am responsible for my perception. I am responsible for, if I become responsible for every interpretation or meaning I put on everything, that means that it can be changed. Because if I am not responsible for it, I will not activate or think that it can be changed. Yeah. I'll be stuck in that suffering view. So
in actual fact, saying that I'm responsible for it, you can at first initially think, oh, wow, really? And it sounds horrible that you are, but then you realise, oh, wow.
That's
amazing.
That's how the ego uses this teaching, and we're coming to see the true meaning of this teaching by really going slowly through what we're responsible for, what I see is the perception, a meaning, perception of the thoughts. And a few people sort of said that I'm seeing through my thoughts, the meaning it gives things. That's how I perceive. So my eyes look, that's all they do is see stuff. Everything else is the mind. I choose the feelings I experience. Well, the reason why I have the experience, the feelings, is because of the thoughts. So the thought is always first. So if I was to say that hand is terrible, I have to change that hand for me to be happy. I believe this hand is part of my body, and it's horrible. It should be bigger, it should be smaller, it should be more feminine looking or whatever. And I'm upset because I think everyone here is going to look at my hand and say, that's terrible. You know, like you're going to judge this hand and you're going to think it's me. So I'm really attached to you liking my hand because I think it's me. And I think this, you know, so you're going to look and say, this hand that I think is Kate is terrible. Kate's awful because of her hand. And it's good for you to laugh because we do stuff with our body and think body parts have special meanings. So we have to see the humour in how ridiculous this thing is that we think is our body and how we judge it. So if I perceive that my hand is not good enough, and I think everyone's thinking, you're thinking this about my hand, aren't you? And you're thinking that about my hand. I then have these feelings of my thoughts are telling me, they're projecting, they're interpreting my hand, and then I have a feeling. And the feelings come after the thoughts. So the feeling is unworthiness. Just this hand, I can't stand it. It just doesn't represent me good enough. I think people are judging my hand, and I think this is me. So
and I might even see people that are judging my hand. They might say, oh, your hand looks really terrible.
Yes.
People that actually reinforce what I'm thinking.
Yes, and that, you know, that's going to really trigger me. Someone actually says something, and I'm already suffering.
Well, then you know it's
I'm
true.
not believe it is, you know.
Then you know that's absolutely true. Someone else
says something funny. I've been told couple of times by a little child that I must be really old because of my crinkly skin on my head. So there you go.
Right. I really have a world that reinforces what I think is true
Yes.
out there.
Yes. So we're going to get to just sort of a little bit of a deeper as we go through. So so the feelings. So I'm choosing the feelings because I'm choosing the thoughts.
Mhm.
So when I join the ego's thoughts, it judges harshly myself and others, I automatically choose the feelings. Now this, as I said before, if I know that I'm responsible for it, I can be free of it. It means that I can change it. So this is, should be feeling happy and joyful about this teaching. I decided on the goal I would achieve. So I decided so we have the ego here and the Holy Spirit here and the decision maker in the middle. I decided to choose the ego. So I decided the goal. So I decided with the ego, and the ego's goal is guilt and unworthiness. So I'm deciding that goal. So this teaching is meant to be interpreted in a way that helps you see that I can choose something else, that I have the power to decide otherwise. So the goal of the ego is specialness, suffering, constantly seeking for happiness, all the things that Jesus tells us about the ego. And so I decide on the goal I would achieve. So I'm deciding with the ego all day long. So I'm deciding on guilt, unhappiness, depression, anxiety. I have that. That's what I'm choosing. And everything that seems to happen to me, I ask for and receive as I have asked. Now, this last line is the big trigger of the season. And for me, when I first read that, I just closed the book and oh my God. But it's not how it's interpreted. That's how the ego interprets this. So I would like to go now to
Would you just go into the difference there, Dol? Just
I
about
am.
how the ego actually does interpret it.
I will. That's what I'm doing now, love. So, I want you to go to the bottom of page 2, but I'm just going to read. I'm just going to read through this and we will do an inquiry as well, which will illuminate this. So just halfway down, I choose the feelings I experience. How do I choose the feelings? You don't have to answer these. I'm just going to. You can do this maybe later on if you like. Do the feelings I experience come from the ego thoughts I believe? Jesus says that the thought always comes first, then the feeling. So when I choose the ego, I am also choosing the feelings I experience. So some people say, oh no, I just got depressed for no reason. That's impossible. You have to choose. You have to actually activate choosing the ego. And it seems like you don't have a choice, but you do. And this is what it's telling us. This is saying if you can take responsibility for it, then you can choose otherwise. I decided on the goal I would achieve. When I think with the ego, I join its goal of guilt, littleness, suffering, sickness and death. Can I feel into the secret desire of wanting someone else to be guilty? If I can be honest, it can reveal itself that I hate the feelings of guilt. So I want to find a scapegoat to project onto. I feel guilty for not liking someone. So I start to feel that they don't like me. Then I perceive them not liking me. And I believe I am attacked by their not liking me. And I quietly justify my attack back on them by withdrawing myself and my love from them. I justify my attack by saying they attacked me first. But what I can't see is the first thought that said I was guilty. The goal that I would achieve is to try to make an image guilty. Then I perceive the image trying to make me guilty. I must be honest here and see that I actually want someone else to be guilty, because it's nice to blame and point a finger at someone else and feel a moment of release. So my goal is to make someone else guilty instead of me. Can I see that I'm actually wanting this? This allows me to see that I am not guilty but mistaken. I choose the goal of the ego I have chosen. Now I can choose again. We don't have to do that now, but you can look at that later on, and it's really good to start to really get really honest about how you can become really aware of how the ego wants to make others guilty and wants to see in others that they don't like you, but you will constantly not be aware of your thoughts to start with about that person. So to really become free and really see the ego and exactly what it does, you have to become, you don't have to be honest with anyone else, just really honest with yourself. It's to become radically honest about exactly what you're thinking. You have to become responsible for everything, every single thing in your life, everything. You're responsible for that perception. And the reason why, as I said before, it's the reason why it's really good to be responsible for is that if that interpretation or that meaning I'm giving it, from you choosing the ego, I can choose something else. And you will always want to make exceptions to this. So just know, and you'll notice when you want to make an exception. And you will not want to do any forgiveness on certain things. And you'll say, I can forgive that and I can look at that. But this one, I'm just no.
No, this one's different.
It's different. You'll want to say, no, that person is really like that and they're really doing this to me. And that's okay, but to be, to live in a mind, you have to take responsibility for every meaning and every interpretation on everything. Your eyes see and your ears hear.
Just backtrack for a minute when you were going through that thing, because it's funny this came up because I really saw this morning with an interaction. Like I was exactly really just how you played it out, like really seeing like as if they were, anyway. But when you said, you can, when you see that you're trying to make someone else guilty because you feel guilty, and that shows you that you're just mistaken. How do you get to the part where you see that you're not actually guilty, but you're just mistaken? Because I don't really make that leap where I see that I'm mistaken about myself, sort of thing. Like there's still an undercurrent. I mean, even in the light of the teaching, as if, I am guilty. I am that real dark stain, black shit.
Yeah. So it works in conjunction with all the lessons and so it really is going back to the Holy Spirit in quietness. and just saying, okay, today I feel something about this person, and we're going to be going through an inquiry. We're going to actually go through a recent or something in the past, and we're going to like look at it from above the battleground. So, but it's the Holy Spirit that illuminates some truth into your mind as you're looking at it. So you have to just, you just take responsibility for everything, every perception of everything. But I'd like to, just for now, focus on this word happens. So in this last section where it says, and everything that seems to happen to me, we need to understand what this word happens, because this is the key to this whole teaching here. If you can understand what this means, how to understand this differently, it'll really help. So right at the bottom of page 2, everything that seems to happen to me, I ask for and receive as I have asked or had asked. Before we discuss this sentence, I would like to take the opportunity to meditate on this. So when I say meditate on this, it's really just to say, Holy Spirit, help me understand what you mean by this sentence. And let us get quiet and ask the Holy Spirit to illuminate how to understand this teaching. So we can ask us, and I'd like you to write something out. So it's not about just sitting quietly. This one's just about a process for you. So ask yourselves these questions. When we say something happens to us, exactly what do we mean? Think about what you think happens to you. Can we describe this thing that we call happens? Let's dive a little bit deeper into this word, happens. So just write out just say, Holy Spirit, give me a deeper understanding. And we'll just go around and share afterward. You don't have to share if you don't want to as well. So try to focus on what the meaning of the word. Just going to go to the bathroom.
No.
Oops. So I'm just feeling that we may, let's not share about this. This is just for you to, what you've written out. Maybe later on we can have a bit of a sharing of just what you got out of the workshop, if anything. It's you know, this is the thing about it, is that sometimes the illumination or a deeper understanding can come in many weeks or months after we've done something like this. I would just like to share a little bit on this word happens. I've actually got some notes here that I wrote out. I'm just actually going to just speak it out. So let's get back to the hand.
Good old hand.
Okay. So if Kevin came up and hit my hand, has anything happened to me?
No,
Why not?
because you're not a hand anyway.
It's not who you are. You're not a body.
Right.
You made contact with the
Right.
skin to skin. You only did something to you in the dream. You think that happened, but it didn't really. It's a dream.
So yeah, so his hand made contact to that bit of whatever you call it, touch that bit of whatever you call it.
Right. So am I my hand?
No.
So generally when somebody says something, speaks to us, or touches us or whatever, we tell a story. This happened to me. So I'm associating myself with my body, and I'm saying this is my hand. But and I was attacked. I was attacked today by Kevin in the group. He came up and he had like that. And now I'm going to plan to attack him back in some way. So, you know, we have to laugh at this, and we have to see that this is going on all the time in our minds. And the only way to be really free of this is to really notice and be really scrupulous with your responsibility for your projections, for your interpretations, for your meanings. So, you know, we can laugh today at the workshop and say that, but the minute you get out in your car and someone cuts you off in traffic, you'll forget. So you just have to become more vigilant in that nothing is happening to you. No one is cutting me off. No one is touching my hand. This is not my hand. This is a body that is not me. So it's not my hand, and I cannot be attacked. So, so when I say I am attacked by Kevin's hand, I am making a whole lot of conclusions. First of all, I'm concluding that I am this body and I'm this hand, and that Kevin is separate to me, and that he attacked me. So I have to believe that I am this hand, this body, and this is me, and I'm here, and I'm true and real, and I am this body, and I can be attacked, and that my hand was attacked by his hand. And when we believe we're attacked, we may not even say the word attack, but it'll be anything. It'll be really subtle as well. The ego loves to use all these subtle things. And so that's what happened to me. So I'll tell you all the story about this happened to me. Guess what? Kevin attacked me. It happened to me. Do you see? Well, I'm responsible for what happened to me. So what I see when I say something happened to me, I can start to see that it actually never happened. Because if I'm not this body and I'm not this hand, nothing happened. So if I take responsibility for when I'm telling a story that something happened to me, I'm taking responsibility for the belief that I believe I'm a body and that I believe I can be attacked. And that happened. The attack happened to me. So this part of this teaching is asking us to notice when we go into story about something happening to us in any ways. You know, the weather weathered on me today. The weather happened to me.
So is it like just we're choosing an experience, and the experience is the happening?
It's the thoughts, it's the story, okay? So in what's happened is that hand has just done that, you know, just like eyes looking, it's neutral, nothing happened, it's just that. Now you will eventually get to a stage in your body you won't be able to feel any pain at all, and any pleasure or pain in the body. But so skin, seemingly touching skin, has no meaning at all. Has no meaning.
So the same thing could happen to two people, and of course they can perceive it completely differently, isn't it?
So if
It's
someone
not
comes
happening.
along with a penis and puts it in my vagina, I make it really special and say, I call it rape, and I say it happened
Yeah.
to me. It's no different to the hand. And I mean, this is a big teaching here because, you know, right? But it's a bit of skin rubbing against another bit of skin. And if you do that to me, there's no meaning to it.
Isn't it the point where we kind of stay calm and say to Kevin, what did you do? Like, just to investigate what it meant and what he was trying to do.
No.
But that's where it seems a bit weird to me, because
I
saw it happen, I felt it, but then it's up to me how I proceed with that event, how I think about
to
it.
go to someone and say, why did you do it, means that you're not taking responsibility for your interpretation.
Maybe that's not the right words. Maybe I could say, like, oh, what did you want to do that for? Or what?
Why would you want to ask that? How would they know? How would they know?
You make the hand.
You're asking that.
And it's not
Most people are in their ego.
He would know, though. He may or not. Well,
he won't know.
He would know.
And also, we're going back to the responsibility for sight. So we're either seeing our brother as a body, or we're seeing through the eyes of Christ and seeing only the light in him. So just perceiving him as a body shows that I need correction. I'm wrong. So in a sense, part of the happening is what thought system I'm seeing through. That's what's also happening. I'm choosing to see through the Holy Spirit's mind, or I'm choosing to see through the ego's thought system. That is also part of the happening.
That's it.
As well.
But when you choose to see through the Holy Spirit mind, you know, nothing happens. So for example, have you ever been around someone like my dad? He lives a few streets away, right? And he wants to find my brother guilty of everything. So he goes around, my brother has stayed at the house, and he's trying to find evidence all the time to make him wrong. So he's finding the evidence. Now, one of the reasons why I want to just pull you up there and say, you know, I would go to Kevin, I'd say why. I want to go into this a little bit because it's really important to understand why you can do that. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's not worth it, because you're going to someone else and you're saying to them, why did you do that?
Understand.
Now, if they're in their ego, they're just going to say, I believed my thoughts today about something and I went and did it. How's that healing? You're asking an ego to say, yeah, I was in my ego and I did something for my ego. We're all in our egos, we're doing everything from the ego all day long. So why pick out one little thing? Do you see what I mean?
Do you want to be right, or do you want to see what you're saying? But I think if I had the conversation and then I'd go, oh, okay, well.
But how would that help you become responsible for undoing all the beliefs that you had about what happened, what you thought happened to you?
I think I understand. Like, I guess what I've been exposed to is that somehow I attracted that experience. That's the way
I understand.
I've been exposed to that teaching, that for whatever reasons I attracted that through the way I thought, through what I thought, and past thoughts. And
forget all that, because that is new age stuff. You didn't attract anything. You didn't attract anything. That's ego. Right? You didn't ask for anything.
Oh, no, not consciously.
Even unconsciously.
Yeah, because I hear what you're saying, because I've been through a similar thought process. And for a long time, I did think that. And then I heard Eckhart Tolle talk about how sometimes he gets aggressive voice messages. And then I thought, oh, Eckhart Tolle gets aggressive voice messages. Like, he's so pure, like how is he attracting that?
Yeah.
So that helped me see, yeah, and it's
Okay, so
the
let's
judgment.
let's just say, what are you attracting? What are you attracting?
If someone did that to me.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm labelling what I'm attracting.
Yeah. Are you labelling it bad?
Could be. Yeah.
So
that's why I
your
feel like I've got to go
perception.
to the source.
You see, and the ego will not want you to be responsible for it. It will say, let's go and ask Kevin, and come on, let's have a nice little chat. Because the ego will not want you to do this. It will get you to do everything else, but actually embrace this teaching properly and fully.
Right. So if I say I'm attracting it, isn't that taking responsibility up to look at what I've done?
I think it's still judgment, I think. You're judging yourself.
But I don't have to take that tone with myself.
If you take it that I am responsible for my interpretation of the body's movements and the sounds out of mouth. So if you look at this world, images move around, bodies get up, they sit down, they lie down, they move around, they do stuff. They walk fast, they walk slow, they run, they sit. That's it. You'll see images moving. So watch the images move around, watch the words out of the mouths, and everything else is your perception, and you're responsible for that. You're responsible for joining it or for moving away from it. The reason why, but even that, this responsibility is important is not to say, I caused it. That's not the responsibility.
So I walk away and then do something to deal with that incident.
Yes, you say, I'm responsible for my perception. So if I say I'm attacked, I was attacked today, I would sit down, you don't deny it, you just sit quietly and you say, Holy Spirit, I believed I was attacked today. You can't jump ahead, because if you think you're a body and you think this is your hand and you think someone attacked you, you've got to work with where you're at. So this is what the teaching's telling you, to be responsible. So I would sit down, which I did for many years, and say, hey, Holy Spirit, this is what I perceive today. Help me perceive this differently. And the Holy Spirit would say, Kate, you think you're a body? You think you're a hand? You think a hand can be, you think you can be attacked? Really? Your spirit, you are love. No part of love.
So you don't have to react at all, is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying.
We can get to that point where we won't react at all.
You will get to the stage where you will constantly be, you'll be more in the Holy Spirit's perception. So when someone comes along and touches you, it will not be registered.
Could you
be nothing.
That, right, let's put it into a more dramatic setting. If you were raped, how, instead of the hand thing.
Okay, so and I've looked at this, and my daughter was seemingly raped, but she's now completely free of the idea of rape, because that's a meaning. That's literally, imagine someone coming along going like that, say, stop raping me. We've given the body's parts of the body special meaning, right? So this takes a while to undo. It doesn't get undone in this hour we're talking about it. But it's impossible for me to be raped. I couldn't be raped no matter what happened. If someone put their penis in me, it's not rape for me. It's nothing. There's nothing that can attack me. There's no way, because everything is the meaning I've given it. I've given this part of my body more meaning and saying this is more special and more private, and that part of your body can't touch this body, or else.
What about the pain, though?
What pain?
That comes from my thinking. The pain comes from my thinking and the guilt. I mean, I could give two examples from seeming rape in my own experience. One seemed to happen and I kind of got up and sort of thought, oh, you know, I probably had thoughts about the guy, but it was sort of no big deal except feeling a bit humiliated, which again still goes back to my thoughts of humiliation. Another time it seemed to happen, and again, it was probably thoughts of humiliation, like, you know, feeling sort of some sort of condemnation for getting myself in that situation or whatever. But I was upset, and I spoke to someone about it, and she sort of said it was rape, even though like that didn't feel right in me. And looking back, it was really just me trying to make him guilty of something, that seeming person sort of putting guilt out on him. And so either situation, you know, seemingly the same situation, I had sort of two different responses to it in a certain way. So
the only way you're going to
can't be the situation that actually, and the pain really is just comes, there was no physical pain, the pain's just the guilt in my mind.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Annie. But we're going right down deep to undo this idea that things can happen to me. And so even if we believe we're raped and we see that we want to make someone guilty and such, but we're going to even diving deeper today to see that it's impossible for anything to happen to me.
Yeah.
Because the happening is the meaning I've given it, and so all the meanings get dropped away through saying I've given this bit of skin on my body, I've given it a special meaning, right? It's you have to see it. Oh, look, I've given, you know, my hand's different to my vagina. Well, it's not. It's same skin. It's exactly the same bit of skin, but we're saying, okay, I'll shake your hand, but don't shake my own vagina. You know, like, you know, because that's special, you know.
And a good way to look at it is like, say if you're watching a movie screen, if you're right outside the movie screen, again, all you're seeing is shapes and images, but we're picking out, we've got thoughts in our mind going, oh, there's that body that's different from that body, and that body's doing that, and that means we call that this, you know, we call that body rape. Oh, that one's not rape, because they're supposedly in love, those two bodies. But if you're back on the movie screen and you're not letting those thoughts into your mind, again, all you're seeing is shapes and colours seemingly swirl around.
Yeah, and it is a good way to look at this world as like a big movie screen or a big 3D holographic thing, and just know that it's really, you know, whether you want to look at it as a dream or a movie or a stage or, you know, a holographic video, like a video game, a virtual reality game. So, you know, that can be helpful to undo these, you know, undo these ideas about all these beliefs, you know, that we're diving deeply here into, so we've labelled, so we you know, if you came up and went like that on my skin, we call that massage or touch. These are words that we describe something touching something else, right? But it has no meaning. It has no meaning. And in fact, you know, I will get to the stage where I won't even really feel that. Or, you know, it's not painful or pleasurable. It's neutral. So we're diving into say for example, I seemingly what world calls get raped, and someone beside me seemingly has the same thing. The guy comes up, pushes me on the ground, puts his penis in my vagina, jiggles it around a little bit, goes away. I get up and I say, nothing happened to me. And I just go home. And just nothing. I don't have a response because I know that nothing can happen to me because...
Interestingly enough too, if that were to happen and you just laid there like nothing was happening,
Yeah.
the kind of problem we wouldn't be interested anyway.
Possibly.
Well, who knows? Who knows? But the thing is that if
We
someone
want you to find
thinks that they can get something out of doing that, they're in their wrong mind. And the wrong mind is nowhere and does nothing and has no effects. So the person beside me that gets raped by the same guy says, this rape happened to me. Right. So this is when it says I'm responsible for what happens to me. There's two perceptions. I've had the same seemingly body parts rub against my body parts. That person has had it too. But they get up and say, the rape happened to me. And I get up and I say, nothing happened. Nothing happened. Because I don't put any meaning on anything. I don't perceive anything. I don't perceive an attack. I don't perceive a wrongdoing. I don't perceive anything.
But wouldn't you say that it happened, but it's not bothering me? It's not.
No, I want you to be really, I want you to understand this. So just hold on to it, right? Let's go through that again, because this is the way to understand this word happen. It's got nothing to do with the body parts rubbing together, because that's what we always think. Those body parts rubbing together constitute a happening. We think that's the happening. But no, the happening is what I perceive.
Yeah, it's a call for love, the course says, right?
Yes.
And because I used to.
Sorry, what's a call for love?
A call for love.
To love that person.
Okay, can we just hold on?
No, that's what I used to.
Can we just hold on? I want you to get this. I really want you to get this because it's important. It's a really crucial point to this teaching. Generally, we say that the rape of the two skins rubbing together is what happened. But I want you to see that if I don't perceive anything happen to me, it can't be. It didn't. If I get up and I say nothing happened, what we see is it's got nothing to do with the skin rubbing together that we label. It's to do with my perception that nothing, so someone else is saying this happened to me and I'm saying nothing happened. So therefore the happening is not this, because the skin's rubbed on my skin, you see. The happening is what I perceive, the story I tell. So that's the happening. And if you can see that's what happen means, the story I tell about whatever went on. It's not the skin rubbing together, which is, we all think that's the happening. We look at, when someone says I'm raped, we immediately imagine a guy or, you know, even men rape each other, seemingly. But we say that the skin rubbing against the other skin was what happened to me. But it's not. It's my perception. My perception is I am this body and this other body came along and attacked me. That's what happened to me. The story is the happening, not the skin rubbing on together.
Could you not say, though, that this man came up to me, pushed me down, put his penis in my vagina, and that's the story?
That's your perception of the story, right? Well, it's the
But
perception.
Okay, so just, okay, let's go into this, okay.
So the happening only happens in the mind. It's not
Yes,
out there at all.
that's it.
Nothing is out there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
You
This is
get it
not
now?
Here.
You're getting it.
Yeah, this is not real.
We think it's real, but it's nothing.
The happening is the story you're telling. It's not the actual thing. But everyone thinks it's the thing, but it's not. So if someone can say nothing happened, it can't be the happening. What you think happened, it's not the rape. What the vagina and the penis, or the penis and the anus, or whatever it is. It's not the two things rubbing together. That's just all that's happening. Just skin against skin. It means nothing. So we go back to the mind and we say, my perception, I'm responsible for the story I'm telling. about some skin against my other skin. I'm saying this skin, this happened to me. I'm believing there's a me here in a body, as a body, that another body, and it happened. So it's the story and the perception that makes the happening.
And then
not
there's
the
huge
thing.
arguments about, hey, but everyone perceives the happening differently anyway.
Yeah.
And there's arguments about what so-called happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even the story that there was, like the concept of rape is going to be like a false concept. I mean, Jesus says freedom, basically freedom is freedom from all concepts. So again, like that movie screen, if you just had no thought about anything that seemed to be happening on the movie, you would be at peace, sort of thing. A bit like Byron Katie said, what would you be without this thought? What would you be without this thought of rape, this story, this concept of rape?
So it's a meaning we've put on something, and we've labelled it rape, and we've said, and so it's to see. I know this is a big ask, but you'll get it, and you got it, that it's the story I'm telling about it.
Yeah, I sort of get it.
Which
Not
is
the thing.
projected out there. It's not actually out anywhere. It's
No.
only in the thinking and the thoughts.
So if two people can have that same seemingly skin rubbing against skin, and one says, this happened to me, and someone says nothing happened,
Then
nothing
it
happened.
proves that it's
Therefore, the happening is not it's the story. So I go around and say, guess what happened to me? So Jesus says here, you are actually responsible for the story you're telling that something happened to you. That's how this needs to be interpreted. And when you get that, that's really freeing.
So when we say it happened, we're projecting it. We're saying it's out there. There is, we're fobbing off.
So, okay, so
isn't it?
Give us an example of something that you think happened to you, and we can trace it back and undo it.
All right, so a few years ago, I was bitten on the hand by a child. So that appeared to happen. So what you're saying now is, so if I've believed that's happening, I'm believing in the body, I'm believing in something outside of me.
So you haven't quite got it. You haven't quite got it because so the facts are that some teeth went into my arm.
Yep.
That's it. The teeth, the child's teeth just went like that on my arm. That's it.
Yeah, and then I created a story.
Which is you then looked at that and said, made up a story, this happened to me. And that's your thoughts, your perception of some teeth going into some skin. And that's it.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So I'm projecting.
So it's really breaking it down.
That story out there.
You've put a meaning. So you might say, then you might have the thoughts, I'm a terrible teacher. What did I do wasn't in the right chakra or something this morning because, whatever you want to do. But the thing is, it literally has no meaning. It doesn't mean you're a bad kindergarten teacher, that, you're in the wrong spot. It has no meaning. You literally just look, you see teeth go in, they come out, nothing. It doesn't mean anything.
But can you say nothing happened?
Nothing happened.
So even there's the story of this is my arm is a story, like that this arm belongs to me is really part of the story, because the basic deepest story is I am this body, whatever the body
So the reason why I'm giving you this is that it might take you years to really fully understand this whole teaching. It might take you a week or a day, or you might get it right now. But however it is, this is the way to understand, and this is the way to be free. So if you have an aversion to if you want to say, you know, I don't know, but you might be sitting here saying, well, it doesn't feel right to say it doesn't happen. That's okay. But this teaching is to try to undo all the stories and ideas, and it's taking you back and back and back into your mind to free yourself of, this is my body and I was attacked by this child's teeth. And I'm here as a body and someone is attacking me, and now I need to report him and tell his mother and, you know, say biting is bad, and it goes in the big story.
Can I just offer something around the situational stuff, like when it happens day to day in life, like a practical application is like when you're able to just hand it over to the Holy Spirit. So in the moment, it doesn't necessarily mean inaction. So you wouldn't just go, you know, like someone comes and punches you in the face, that you wouldn't just be like, oh, I understand now because Course in Miracles tells me that it didn't happen. It's like, if you can genuinely, like in the moment, be like, I'm going to hand this over to Holy Spirit, so you're handing over your judgments, whatever, then you will, inspired action will come from the Spirit. So you might say to the person, please don't punch me, or, you know what I mean? Yeah, but it won't come from your judgments that that's a bad person who punched me, or I'm being attacked. It will just come from Spirit, which will have no judgment of the situation, and you'll say and you'll do the thing.
It's not reacting,
that will
stopping and asking the Holy Spirit for
correction
or insight. Or,
yes.
Yeah.
Hey, is it just the same as like going away today and saying, you know, I'm meeting my mum and sisters later, and I can come up and with this story about what we're doing today, but this didn't happen. This is just a happening. Is it the same thing?
Well, the teaching is meant to be associated. This particular, I know you are right. The reason why this responsibility for sight is a really important teaching and can lead you to be very free is because of the way it makes you responsible for the story you're telling about something. So, you know, if you say this child bit me, blah blah blah, and you say, oh, guess what happened today at work? You see how we use the word happen? So and this happened to me. And I say, who did he bite? Oh, it happened to me.
We don't say, oh, guess what I thought today.
So guess what, you know, guess how the ego, you know,
appears today.
So it's not, we're not asked to skip over this. We're asked to look deeply at the story, and it's always based on attack. And it's and the attack can't happen unless I think I am a body, and this is my body. So if I don't have those beliefs that I am a body and this is my body, then what is attacked? So all this is leading you into an inquiry, a deeper inquiry into you know the teachings of the Course. So this is the way this teaching is to be understood. And when it says everything that seems to happen to me, I ask for and receive as I've asked. So when it says I've asked for and received as I have asked, what it means here, let's take your example of the child biting you. When you say I've asked for it, it means basically I have joined the ego's interpretation of it. So therefore I've asked the ego, and the ego has reported back to me, yes, I was attacked today.
And that can be unconscious.
Yes, very quickly.
Whereas if we're joined with the Holy Spirit and say we're joined with the Holy Spirit the whole time, we don't give a meaning to anything. It just appeared to happen, but actually nothing happened. But of course, because we're in the ego, like I would give it.
Of course. So when you get upset, it's straight away, it's a forgiveness opportunity. Ask the Holy Spirit. Okay, Holy Spirit, I seem to say that this child, I was attacked today by a child's teeth. You know, and then the Holy Spirit can give you another way of perceiving. It helps perceive this differently.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So in the course, he talks about gives a couple of examples. He says, you know, this little child runs up and bumps into a man. Is everyone familiar with that teaching? Yeah. Okay. So he gives an example of a little child, maybe not looking where he's going. He bumps into someone. And instead of the person frowning, they smile. And that's the miracle. So when the child bites you, instead of being upset, you simply just, like you say, call for love. Everything's a call for love. So just loving. So because if I'm not this body...
Well, in this case, it was an accident. So I was okay about it. But if it had been what I would have considered. No, but I wasn't doing a Course in Miracles at the time. So, like, at the time, so it was an accident. But if I hadn't considered it to be deliberate, I would have felt like I was attacked. Like you're saying, I would have felt like I was actually, they actually attacked me.
But there's no difference, is there, whether it's deliberate or accidental?
I know.
That's another interpretation.
Yeah.
But this is a really big teaching, and it could take you years to really understand the full everything, because you're going to be looking at everything, every single thing in the past that you think happened to you, and you're going to have it transformed so that you will see that nothing ever happened to you. The only thing is my interpretation or my perception put a meaning to everything. That's the only thing that happened was the ego put a meaning on stuff, and I got upset by that meaning.
What's really hard, I just had a thought when lovely things happen to us.
Yeah,
we don't want to hand them.
Then I put notice the good things I attracted.
You know, there's this I attract. I sort of try to get away from those words, because you're not attracting anything. If I've given everything the meaning it has for me, it's just the meaning. So I'm going through a neutral world that means nothing.
Yeah.
And I can say I like the day or I hate the day, and someone else can be saying the opposite. And we're living in that perception.
I guess when I say I attract, I take that to be something for me to heal or look at. When I say I attract, it's letting me know there's something to do here. That's
actually a good way to perceive it.
Well, Gary in his book, I think it's anyway, he either said it or it was in his book, says you forgive everything.
Yes.
Everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything.
Yeah, I know.
Because it's neutral.
So we're going to break for lunch in a few minutes, and then when we come back, we'll go over this a little bit, and we'll do a bit of an inquiry based on something that's happened to you in your life or recently, and you can sort of maybe delve a bit deeper into it using this teaching. Okay. So I just want to say, because I know Yetta's going to go. Annie, are you going to hang around? Okay. Just to say that this teaching is to release you and to bring you back to peace. You're not going to go into a dull void and, you know, a neutral. I'm just going to see a neutral world, and it's going to be really boring and nothing good and nothing bad. So everything, once you remove the meaning, that's why it's so important to be responsible for all the stories, all the meanings, everything. If I can be responsible for them, if I can say I'm responsible for joining the ego, I have a decision maker that's joining it, then I can change. I can choose another way. and that way I can come to peace. So the final saying is that nothing means anything, and then when that meaning you've put on it is washed away, what comes through is everything is love. Everything is love. It's all just love. It's a big soup of love.
That's why I liked Colin Tippings when he first did the radical forgiveness worksheet. He called it making room for the miracle, because it really is. It's like you've got your mind crammed with all these thoughts, and when they're removed, then there's space to actually see what really is there instead of what's not.
Yeah. Thanks, Sally. Making room for the miracle, that's it. And that's just so it changes. If you've ever read that Responsibility for Sight, and you've just read it randomly and you're going, oh my God, oh, I got raped when I was 8. I actually am responsible for that. I called that in. I asked for that. You know, I made that person rape me. I made myself, you know, and that's how the ego interprets that teaching. And this is it. This is Jesus saying, actually, go back to the story. Go back to the ego and see that that's the story. Is what the story tells me something happened, that it can be changed. So this
the way I was presented to it, it was like I'm basically responsible for everything I see. So the wars, the suffering in the world, like it's not showing you. The ego's telling you you're responsible for that person dying. You're responsible for rather than bringing you back to the thoughts in your mind. Okay, you're responsible for believing the thought in death, sort of thing.
You're responsible for joining the story. So if you're responsible for joining the story, you can make another decision and join another story, or join no story. So the responsibility idea is to free you, nothing more, but to free you.
Yeah, I think sometimes it comes from like our association, certainly for me, with responsibility paired with the word blame. Do you know what I mean? So like you go, oh yeah, so it's not their fault. Oh, so it's my fault. Okay. So like originally that was happening. So I was like, oh yeah, okay, it's my fault then. And then I was like, well, that's not right either. It's just the other side of the same coin. But this responsibility, like really going into this workshop has been lovely. Like just finding more ways of using other words to like empower and to separate.
So whatever words work for you, everyone's going to have different, we have different parts of the course and different words that really resonate. So, make sure, like, this is your path. So whatever works for you, you don't have to convince anyone else of your words. Everyone's going to have it slightly differently because the Spirit will use the words that work. So we've gone quickly through it. So we'll spend the afternoon delving a little bit deeper into it. We might have a discussion. You can ask some questions, or you can see me at lunchtime if you've got any questions. So I'm going to put the recording on hold. And Yetta, it's 2:30, maybe you want to go to bed.
Yes, thank you.
Love you, beautiful. See you soon. Bye-bye.